Have you ever moved in with someone? And I'm talking when you were kind of an adult, maybe even after a period of single living, when you had all of your things figured out, you knew where you put stuff, you knew if you created a chaos, no one had to see it, okay? You can just lock the door. If someone wants to go to the bathroom because they are in a pickle, you can say that your pipe is broken. I know a person who actually used that as an excuse. And Carrie has problems also.
Where you been and what you been to?
And does she manage to actually come together with her boo? Do they find a common ground, or it's the Carrie's way or the highway? Well, that will all be told by a plant. It sounded so much better in my head. You know how we do it here. We narrate, we analyze, we often judge, and we try to believe that, yes, we do know better and would do better. Hopefully. Aiden and Carrie are making the next step. They decided to move in together while they're waiting for the other apartment to be available. You know, they're going to break the wall and they're going to live in a luxury apartment in New York City. The man has ka-ching. Carrie is contributing with her presence. Aiden is moving in. And the way Aiden moves in, well, the whole apartment of Carrie is consumed in his boxes. The woman can't even get through the front door.
On papers, but I think the more pressing question is, what have you been doing?
Made myself an area.
Yes, I can see that.
But not to worry, it's just gonna be a week because they're waiting for the other lady to move out, and then they're gonna have enough space for all of the things. I am sympathizing with Carrie so much in this moment. Needing to give up a part of your space for someone else is a challenging situation. And not because I'm an uppity
better than everyone super skank.
and I'm too attached to my space and material things, and I miss to see what is actually important, sharing my life with someone else, but because exactly that. Yes, we might be modern and advanced, but deep down, we are all just cavemen protecting our caves. I don't get it. Is it so difficult to ask? Why wouldn't Aiden just let Carrie know that he has a bunch of stuff and they need to agree how to handle it? They can answer the questions about, well, how many things? Will it take over my apartment? And how do we feel about that? Would it be better to hire a storage room for that time? Maybe we are tight on money and we don't want to pay for a storage room. Should we sell your stuff? Do you know how much more reasonable, understanding, adapting we are if we just have a heads up? If someone prepares us for something, if someone makes us feel that we have some say in things going to shit, let me know so I can mentally prepare, then we're good. But if you just bombard me with shit, well, I just might bombard you back. Somehow, these references don't feel right in the times we are in. But I kind of get it. You know, some of you might even say that, well, if you really love a person, if you are really in a partnership, in a real committed relationship, then it shouldn't be a problem. You don't need to talk about it. You willingly accept everything. And I'm also convinced that you live in a magical forest with magical fairies that make things magically disappear when they start taking over too much of your magical room. And honestly, how do I get there? Now, if I try to understand Aiden a little bit better, why would he just do this without talking to Carrie first?
I needed a space for my work papers and stuff, so... Is that okay?
Maybe he's just too excited. The man is like, finally, I'm making the big step with my one and only city girl, Carrie. They are moving in. They even are engaged. It's very exciting. And maybe just the common courtesy and respect of asking Carrie or agreeing kind of flies over his head. He probably just thinks that both of them are very excited for this and there's no problem, right? It's like, we're in the same vibe, huh? He doesn't even think about asking Carrie because they're in this together and that's it. Biz, if you never experience crossing a little bit of those normal, common courtesy, boundaries, or just respect or acknowledgement when you get a little bit comfortable in a relationship, or when you just normally, naturally get closer, then you're probably better than most of us. But honestly, though, Carrie is taking it well.
Really, what's the problem, right? It's just boxes, right?
But as she turns around, there it is.
A plant.
He brought a living thing into her apartment. Carrie does not do plants, okay? They die. And let me tell you, I am with Carrie all the time, okay? I even had it in my comments, right? Someone already figured out how one of my plants disappeared and how one is barely surviving. I'm changing to cactuses. I need to stop feeling like a criminal in this house. I already have a new cactus in my kitchen by the desk, and soon I will be surrounded by cactuses. Miranda is logical though. Carrie, you wanted Aiden to move in. You decided to do that, so he is moving in. But Carrie is like, this is not just moving in and I don't even notice it. This is moving in and taking over. And that's not all. There is no walls. There is no place to hide.
As soon as I walk in the door, he's all up in my face with, who'd you see? Where'd you go? Who'd you meet? What do you know? What I know is I need time to decompress. Just be alone.
Charlotte, on the other hand, look, sweetie, you'll have to make some adjustments. That's how it is when you are in a relationship. But Charlotte doesn't get it. Carrie just misses how she came back home from a full day of walking around. Yeah, I don't know what she does apart from writing her column. It would be peaceful, quiet, and she could do things that you do when you are on your own, things that no boyfriend should see. She calls it the SSB.
My secret single behavior. Like, I like to make a stack of saltines. I put grape jelly on them. I eat them standing up in the kitchen, reading fashion magazines.
And oh, Mary, we know it all. Oh, mine include, okay, I need to share this. Okay. Mine is sitting on a couch, on literally this couch behind me, having a bag of chips and my favorite chocolate and mixing the two, eating it and just binge watching TV. That is my secret single behavior that honestly, it's not anymore secret single behavior. And it is what it is, okay? It is what it is. I never said I don't have problems. And I really want to know for you to let me know in the comments below. And I don't know what that sentence was. How do you handle it? How do you deal with it? Look, like I said, my SSB is, already exposed, to be honest. But there is still this part of me where it's just not the same level of comfort. It just isn't. Because here's the thing. When I'm alone and when I do that, and I know it's not good for me, I know it's not healthy, I know I feel like shit after it, or I think I feel shit after it because that's what everyone says. I can handle it. I can dismiss it. I can tell to myself, you know what, you deserve it. Okay? I can say, you know what, you did a lot of work today. I can even say, you know what, it's Sunday. Tomorrow is Monday and new days, new life, new chances. But when there is this second pair of judgment and they know that maybe you didn't do that much work today. Maybe it's not only Sunday, but it's literally Tuesday. Then it's like, this is taking away the pleasure I used to have with this. Now, luckily, I work from home and my man doesn't, so I still sneak some of those in. Shit, he actually watches this. I most definitely get Miss Carrie. Miranda gets her. Charlotte gets her. But you know who is not a part of our club and also your club, right? Because you also get it. Well, you know who doesn't get it? Samantha.
Anything you do you wouldn't want a man to see? No.
Bitch. Why does she need to be so cool all the time?
All right, so what should I do about Aiden's stuff?
I think it's very normal and very healthy in some ways, I guess, or I'm just lying to myself, that you are a little bit territorial or a little bit like, this is my space in some way. There is a period of adjustment when two people are coming together, right? Or even if because I actually moved to my partner's place. And I also had to deal with this thing of trying to almost like, oh my God, not take too much space or make sure that things are not in his way, even though he never even gave me any of that feeling. But it's almost like it's ingrained in us, this sense of, look, I understand and respect your space. So I also need to find a way how to actually feel comfortable and understand that this is my space also. Spoiler alert, I don't have that problem anymore. Okay, I integrated. Maybe we are a little bit uppity-dippity.
Uppity, better than everyone, super skank.
And I'm not going to pretend that I'm the type of person that has everything in place. And then if my man does something or leaves his shirt somewhere, though, whoa, flashbacks. I mean, you should see my wardrobe. I've been decluttering it or deciding to declutter it for as long as Rihanna is deciding to make a new album and, it's never going to happen. Maybe. But I also have a little bit of a challenge when I see things in my face that shouldn't be in my face. Well, that's what you get when I can't indulge in my chips and chocolate combination as often as I used to. But let's talk about the horror of all horrors.
The man brought a living thing into my apartment. I don't do plants. I kill everything I bring in there.
The freaking plant. Ooh, so bright and colorful. Signaling peace and life. I have a problem. So there are a couple of things why this plant might have triggered Carrie to this point, that she's literally thinking about her, how will she do things that she does when she's alone, and how a guy might see it, right? A man might see it. Well, the first thing is that a plant can be a representation of new routines, new responsibilities that actually come with Aiden moving in. Maybe in a way, she's looking at this plant and she's like, the fuck am I gonna take care of it? The F am I responsible now for this? And it also says a lot about, or it hints at attitude of Carrie when it comes to partnership and her role in it. Carrie automatically, by default, decided or sees this as though she's gonna be expected to take care of the plant, of Aiden's plant. And this could come from two things. Now, the first thing is let's say the more social one or historical one. And it's this association with domestic roles and women. Taking care of the plants is a woman's thing, I guess, let's say, right? I don't know. I'm honestly, if I look at my family, yes, my dad probably doesn't even know what a plant is. Am I shading my dad right now? There could be a side of her that it's like, yeah, no, that's not me. And I don't like that this is even put in front of my face. And then there is the potential fact that this is how she is in a relationship, right? If the two of us are together, it means that we need to share everything. Maybe that's this underlying thing. And because she is so like, no, I still want my independence, it immediately triggers defense rather than acknowledging that, no, this is Aiden's plant. I don't need to take care of it. I'm not a plants person. I don't have any plants. He brought it so he can take care of it. I don't know. It kind of felt interesting that she automatically assumed that, oh my God, now it's her responsibility. There is, though, another symbolism around this plant. And it is those ever-watching eyes. There will always be someone or somewhat there who will see it all, and she won't be able to hide. I need to calm down. If you pair that with the fact that Carrie does struggle with being a little bit more honest with Aiden and not hide meeting big, for example, right? It might be a very real horror for her. Now, I'm not talking that the plant has eyes and it's gonna snitch on her, but plant is a representation of a living thing, aka Aiden, who will now always be there. And how much can she hide from him? We do know that Carrie does struggle with being her authentic self, and she puts a lot of emphasis on the image she represents. Now, when it comes to the whole SSB thing, like I said, quite normal. I think every one of us has experienced that.
I like to put Vaseline on my hands and put them in those Borghese conditioning gloves while watching infomercials.
Before I was married, I used to study my pores in a magnifying mirror for an hour each night. But I'm afraid Trey will just think it's weird.
I think the more you are in a relationship, the more you get, you kind of start merging those things. Not merging, but I don't know. I guess it becomes more and more comfortable, because you also become more and more comfortable actually being your fully authentic self in front of someone. Now, some might say that it's not the best thing because you might let yourself go. But on the other hand, I think there are like limits, right? It could be a healthy approach where you just preserve some things around yourself, maybe. But there could also be a little bit more challenging approach or a bit more toxic approach. It is important to know and to acknowledge, and I'm not saying it's very common, but I'm pretty convinced that it can happen, is when you literally need some time for yourself away from your partner because you don't really feel comfortable around them, and maybe you don't even clock it, that it's because the dynamic that you two have is almost making you need to pull back a little bit, so you need time for yourself. An example would be if someone is constantly criticizing you, judging you, or never acknowledges what you say, they make you feel in certain like inferior dynamic type, right? And you just kind of pull back, and it's almost like you want that time for yourself. You don't want to constantly think about how are you gonna, do certain things so you don't trigger this person. And that can be extremely, extremely toxic. And those relationships, cut it, try to find help and let it go. But then there's this other thing also where you yourself convinced maybe yourself that your true self, your authentic self is not really lovable in some way. And it's almost like you always play a certain role in front of your partner without them wanting it. And it's like you need a break from that, right? Maybe you're the type of person who's like, oh, everything is always good and I'm just like positive, or I'm just helpful and understanding. And it's almost like now I need to step away because I need to scream in the pillow, right? But I'm just putting out there because, sometimes it's good to recognize when it's just a very normal need to be alone, to have some time for yourself, and when is it an escape because you don't actually feel good in this dynamic. And instead of acknowledging it, instead of recognizing it, you are falling into, oh, I just need time for myself. But maybe if you talked with your partner, if you establish certain things and boundaries and how you both feel and blah, 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 then maybe you wouldn't need that time for yourself as much. I don't know, just putting it out there. Carrie is coming back from the lunch with the girls, or I think a walk with Miranda, I'm not really sure. And she is meeting the neighbor that she's waiting to move out so they can take over the apartment. And this little kind old lady...
Hello. Okay.
That's a crazy outfit. You tell your boy I'm not leaving for 30 days.
What?
And Carrie is like, are you freaking kidding me? I'm gonna ignore that you insulted my outfit. Because this is almost worse. She enters the apartment, or tries to enter the apartment, because the freaking boxes somehow are still there. Like, I know they try to make a point, but can't you move the boxes so she can enter through the door? Like, please. And by the clock.
Hey, gal. What's up? Where you been? What do you know?
And Carrie is not happy. And she has the news for Aiden. Well, you know how this was supposed to be just for a week? Well, Mesta, it's gonna be for another freaking month. She ain't moving out.
Fuck! What the fuck are we gonna fucking do now?
Oh, thank you! You hate it too. I'm so relieved.
Carrie is so relieved. Because, yes, they are compatible. He was as upset with this arrangement as she was. And he was also betting on this being a short time. So finding out that this is going to take a month, well, they cannot live like this. But luckily, there is a solution.
We could make some room for it if we cleaned out your closet.
Yeah, I guess that compatibility didn't last for long. People, this episode was hilarious. I highly recommend to watch it. You're gonna crack up. It was so funny and relatable, and just comedy was on point. But okay, it's what they have to do. Carrie has to adjust. Charlotte told her about it. So it's okay. She's gonna clear some of her closet so Aiden can put his stuff in. But there is gonna be a little delicacy, okay? A little glove handling situation going on here. The first thing, They need to put down the towels in the bathroom where she can lay down all her shoes and make space for Aiden in the closet. Now, Aiden is like, this.
How many pairs of shoes does one person need?
And I'm looking at this and I'm wondering, does Aiden like wooding? Does Aiden like his countryside? Where the F is he getting this courage of asking Carrie that?
That is not the way to get out of this alive.
Aiden evaluates that he's gonna need about half of the closet. And Carrie is evaluating that he's mentally ill. Aiden has difficulties comprehending this because what's the problem? Half of the stuff she does not even wear. But Carrie might wear them one day.
When and where were you planning to wear this?
Don't do that. Don't mark the clothes.
People, did I mention my wardrobe? Let's not pretend that this is not a common problem among society. And yes, we all know that it's just a material thing and we've been brainwashed with capitalism and attachment to things and blah, blah, blah. But also, Biss remembers the exact date and the exact event she wore a shirt from like 10, maybe it was 10 years ago at this point.
December 99, Union Square, book signing.
Clearly, she values a lot. Clearly, this is not just her wardrobe. This is representation of her life, her past, the things that she experienced. Like she's all attaching to these clothes. And though they are material things, they mean a lot to her. So Aiden dismissing it, it's almost like he's just dismissing because he doesn't really understand her and he doesn't clock how important this is to her. And just to be clear, I'm not saying that it is okay that Carrie has these attachments, but that's not the point of this video. I'm sure there are a bunch of videos out there talking about how wasteful everything is, okay? I'm not there. So we could say that for Carrie, this is more, she protecting her sense of identity and maybe even having a sense of control in the unexpected loss of control that she's just experienced now with Aiden coming to her place. For Aiden, this is very practical approach. He's just trying to find a solution how they can live a little bit more comfortably until the other apartment is available. And in a way, they're both right in their perspectives, right? But as Aiden is sadly putting his stuff away and kind of accepting that Carrie does not want to even think about sharing stuff or getting rid of stuff so his stuff can come in, she has a little bit of an epiphany.
I was holding on to a Roberto Cavalli outfit and throwing away my relationship.
Okay, it goes.
Good.
Bye-bye.
So I guess we're seeing this battle between preserving my stuff and what I need to let go in order for us to grow together. So she decides that she's gonna, get rid of this shirt. And in a way, it's also kind of posing the real question Carrie is struggling, how to accept Aiden without feeling like she needs to let go parts of herself. How can she be who she is, preserve her identity and individuality while still sharing her space and her life with someone else? Now, because of this difficult decision and letting go of a little piece of herself, she goes to the bathroom to, get some bathroom therapy, I guess. But in there is another horror.
Don't show it to me. Don't even show it to me. I think I saw turquoise. That better not be the pair, I think.
Freaking Pete is chewing on her shoes. Can we agree that she's, acting like someone is killing her baby? Yes, a little bit too much, but it's also Carrie. Can we also agree that it is crazy that Carrie is standing there while Pete is chewing on her shoes? Like, just take it away from him. But then also, Carrie is not a dog person, so maybe she thinks that he's gonna bite her, right? Can we also agree that, come on, it's just a shoe? Well, look. I know, like I said before, we need to reevaluate our relationship to material things, but I personally wouldn't also be the happiest if my dog or someone else's dog would be chewing on my shoes or something that I bought, especially if, it's something that I value and I spend a lot of money on. And let's say it's my favorite pair, whatever.
The dog, what's he supposed to do?
There is training a dog and there is just letting the dog take over everything they want. Like, you wouldn't allow a kid to just rip your stuff apart, right? You would tell them, hey, this is not okay. We don't do this. So the same with the dog. Despite Aiden being like, oh, it's just a dog or dog will be, it's like, no, mister, you need to also kind of, maybe train him a little bit and accept that this was not okay. It was not okay that the dog started chewing on her things. And not only that, Aiden goes a step further. He's like, well, he wouldn't be chewing on things if your shit wouldn't be lying all over the place. And Carrie is like, oh, my shit is lying all over the place. My shit is lying all over the place because your shit is lying all over the place. And I needed to take my shit from the place that it was to put it around so you can use it for your own thing. So, whose fault is it? Whose fault is it? I still vote the untrained dog, but okay.
You got more shit lying around than I got lying around.
What? Look at this place. It's loaded with your shit. Just look at this bathroom. Look at all your shit in my bathroom.
Why does he have so many boxes? What the F are his things?
Who needs 5 almost empty Speed Stick deodorants? What are you, a crazy bag man?
They're different smells.
He also has a problem that Carrie went through his stuff, but Carrie clocks him quickly. No. It was perfectly fine when you went through my stuff, huh? But now when I'm going through your stuff and discovering your SSB behavior...
Old razors, Rogaine. Wait a minute. You use Rogaine? I didn't know you
It's
needed...
preventative.
Now you're like, oh, you shouldn't do that. Privacy. But if Carrie is thinking that she is spitting facts, Aiden has facts right back at her.
Oh, your stuff, your bathroom. You always do that. You never want to let me in.
That's the problem. It's all about her. When will she share anything? Oh boy, now I enter. Now I'm like, ding, ding, ding. Separate. Mister, you are not going to use a challenge you had before or in general, the challenge that Carrie has of letting people in to get your way. Okay, there is a difference between emotional closeness and stuff around. I did not like this. I did not like how Aiden, but as I said, often, sometimes when that kick gets in the right spot, we lean into a little bit of toxic behaviors. To me, this is a little bit manipulative. This is almost like he's trying to use something that is not really the right thing to reference and get his way. Almost getting her to maybe reevaluate, Because it's not about my stuff being around, it's about you not letting me in. But the crazy thing about all of this, and especially taking in consideration what I just said, how certain triggers push us in certain behaviors, I would say that Aiden is struggling with exactly that. You see, Aiden, from the get-go, or at least from this second attempt at their relationship, has this challenge or believing that Carrie is actually accepting him, that Carrie actually values him and wants to share life with him. So for him, the same way as Carrie is attaching material things to her identity, now it's revealed that for Aiden, it's about how close does he feel Carrie actually lets him. Carrie reacting the way she's reacting when it comes to his things coming into the apartment could trigger that feeling of, well, is it about just the space that we're not sharing, or is it about she does not really want to accept me? She will not actually ever be ready to commit. Now, again, as I mentioned, it does not make his behavior okay, or that he is even voicing this in this way, right? Well, if you will let me in, blah, 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 right? Because there's something about stuff lying around and then emotional connection. But it does hint at the fact that Aiden is attaching this to the sense of security he has with Carrie. You might even think, well, if he packed everything, if he moved in with her, if he invested in this apartment and even in the next apartment, he's feeling like he's literally kind of changing his life for the two of them to be together, while Carrie has some problems taking some clothes out of the closet. That could trigger things. So if we kind of, project our opinions on this whole thing, we could say that Carrie is not just feeling upset about the shoe and the material things, but almost like this is the buildup or the reaction of not being included or respected or valued in this decision of how do they even start this process, what will they do when he starts moving in. It's almost like she's being invaded again with Pete chewing on her shoes, the same way she feels like her apartment is being invaded. While on the other hand, Aiden very clearly craves closeness, craves security. Maybe on some level, he's even afraid that he is actually pushing her more than she's actually committed to this. And her not making space for his thing is a reminder of that. Now, Carrie, rightfully so, gets pissed about Aiden's comment. And she's like, what the F do you mean?
And I have let you in.
But for Aiden, he doesn't even recognize that, right? He's only focused about how she does not want to give up a stupid outfit.
You're fighting with me about a stupid fucking outfit.
Oh, shut up. It's Roberto Cavalli. I threw it away and I love it. What more do you want?
Shut up.
And I...
Yes, shut up.
Shut up. You're telling me to shut up?
Aiden is pissed and he is shooked. He cannot believe how Carrie is acting. But Carrie's like, shut up.
Please, just shut up. I am so sick of hearing you talking all the time. Don't you ever just shut up?
Now, Aiden is mature and he's like, you know what? I'm going to go out for a walk. And Carrie's like, oh, no. I am the one who's going to go out for a walk.
You can stay here with your boxes of shit and your shoe-eating dog, and you can knock yourself out putting on the Rogaine and the speed stick.
This was so freaking funny. This was, oh my God, I was cracking up. And also, it's kind of real or relatable, especially the funny part. I'm going to be honest, like sometimes it happened also with my partner. Like we would get in a fight about something and it came to a point that someone would say something so ridiculous that we just both started laughing. Like it just cracks us up because, you know, it's almost like a comedic relief in a way, but it makes you also kind of readjust, reevaluate. And then you can kind of talk about the real issue. But sometimes it does get crazy and you just say shit and you just let your steam off and, you know, it happens. As long as it's not like a real regular thing that is impacting your overall life or your overall relationship. But sometimes, you know, we're human. It happens. So Carrie goes out and she is actually at Starbucks. And for the first time, she understands it. She gets it. You see, usually, she saw these people with laptops in a cafe as so pretentious and trying to pretend something, right? But now, now they're her people. She gets it. It's people who just moved in with someone and they just need their own space. She found a new understanding of the people with laptop in a cafe. And honestly, I kind of felt called out because I do feel special when I go out at a cafe and I'm on my laptop. I don't know what it is. Maybe I got influenced by Instagram shots and so on, but I'm like, I'm living the life. She's writing her article and she starts to thinking, you know, first of all, the time apart makes her feel a little bit like she can collect her thoughts. And she starts to think about what is this really about? Is it just silly things that they should find a way to work on or work out? Or is it a sign of something deeper? Is it a collection of things that they are actually struggling with and this is just manifestation of it?
I couldn't help but wonder, what are we fighting for?
And this actually hints to me at this question of, are we in this together or are we on the opposite sides? Because I don't know, I know for myself, there is this sense when you're arguing with your partner that it's almost like one against the other. You're trying to prove your things while they are trying to prove their things. And it's almost like this thing of who is right or who should listen to who. And I'm going to be very honest, I still haven't really found or I'm struggling to find a way where when I'm in the moment, I'm taking the position and I'm reminding myself, we are in this together, right? Do we want to solve this or are we just trying to make our point? Maybe that's what Carrie is thinking about, right? Why are we on these opposite sides and trying to fight for something when in reality what we are doing is building a partnership and relationship. And that's what we should focus on, how to come together. When it comes to the question, is it just silly things or is it something deeper? I mean, that can easily be answered with consistency of it, right? If you constantly find yourself arguing about things, even though they're silly things, then maybe you need to revisit some core things, some roots. Maybe go down, check the base and see if it's rotting or if it's good, right? And then maybe some other things are, yeah, maybe you are on your period. No, I shouldn't say that. Now, if it's just now and then and maybe just some silly thing and I don't know, sometimes they say like you need to let your steam out or something. I don't really know what that means, but I also kind of get it. Sometimes you're just in the mood to bicker a little bit, I guess. I don't know. For me, that would be the difference. Is there constantly a problem? In a span of a week, did we fight like 3, 4, 5 times? Or it's like in a span of a month, we fought 1 time. That for me is a huge difference. If it's constant, then or we are in a very difficult period and we need to figure out how to go through it, or there are really deep issues that we need to work on. These are my opinions only, okay? I'm not a therapist or anything, so this is just my perception. It's been 7 hours of Carrie pretending to be important in a cafe like we do, and she is ready to go home. She cooled down, and honestly, she is also ready to admit that she was acting a little bit silly.
I vibrated home, prepared to admit how silly I'd been.
Now, let me ask you this. How do you feel about the fact that Carrie came to the conclusion that these are just silly things and, that's it? Huh? Well. So first thing is, yes, sometimes you are just overreacting, acting silly, and that's it. But if I ask myself, is this silly or is it deeper issues? And I don't want to address those deeper issues, I'm just going to play myself and say, you know what? It was all silly. Okay? So if you find yourself doing that 1 too many times, then maybe it's just you avoiding the reality of the deeper issues. Basically, you're just playing yourself and you should address those, okay? It was a little bit too much and they could get past it. But as she comes through the door and sees Aiden not even looking at her when she steps in.
That was until he wasn't prepared to admit how silly he'd been.
She's like, oh, the F am I gonna entertain this? I was ready to apologize. I was ready to start something, but not with this attitude.
It's been 3 days and nothing.
I'm gonna get to why I think Aiden is still mad, but when it comes to Carrie's reaction, seeing Aiden being mad and not coming to the same realization as she did, to apologize and how silly they acted, it also hints a little bit at maybe her belief that if she apologizes when the other person is not ready to apologize, that by default she will be, guilty. Or by default she's admitting that she's the only one who did something wrong. Because if you are kind of mature in your vulnerability and understanding and mature in accepting your mistakes, you can also understand, or you do understand, that just because you understand where you fell short, it does not mean that there's not a part on the other side, right? It does not mean that by default, it means that you're the one who created this, you're the only one responsible, while the other person is just like perfect, right? And I'm talking from my own experience. I don't know if I talked about this before, maybe I did. But there was a period where I had such a problem in letting my guard down when it came to conflict, because if I would apologize or even accept apology, it's like, what about if I'm being stupid, right? What about if this means that I'm the only one at wrong and this person will never admit their mistakes, or they will never actually confront what was their role? From my understanding, it developed from this sense of always being the one that is the guilty one, always being the one who needs to kind of carry this burden, right? Everything would be well if you wouldn't do this, if you wouldn't say that. Doesn't matter if there's 2 people and there's 2 people to tango. Somehow I always took this burden of that at the end, it's all my fault. And because I was struggling, or because I was rebuilding this self-worth and sense of identity and sense of that I'm not, in a way, even crazy, or, I don't want to go too dark or whatever, I almost developed this wall where I had genuine resistance and fear of apologizing because it was almost like, if I do that, will that person ever change, or will this now be a dynamic? Again, I'm going to be the one that is guilty. Again, it's all going to be on me. And this person is just not going to acknowledge any of the mistakes. So what? The whole relationship is again on my burden, right? Or the well-being of the relationship. Clearly, in my case, that was just a path, like a journey on my, let's say, I don't want to use the word healing, but, understanding dynamics better and so on. And having also the right partner on the other side, where I understood that just because I apologize, just because I admit my mistakes, it doesn't mean that the other person is going to take that as an opportunity to totally let go of their own responsibility, and they're going to make, in this case, me feel even worse about the situation. And I won't even recognize when it all became my fault, right? So a healthy relationship doesn't do that. A healthy partnership acknowledges that they are two people, and sometimes it happens that you overreacted, you did something. But again, it comes to this, okay, let's try to understand together why it happened, how can we support each other? And it doesn't just happen that now, all the burden is going to fall on you. So Carrie reacting the way she reacted, it did remind me a little bit of that. Almost like this, well, no, because if he's not ready to acknowledge his mistakes, that I'm not going to step into this dynamic. And the other thing could be that Carrie is also avoidant, and she is willing to let go, to ignore the issues that they have, and decides that all of this is silly, which could also be. And she just doesn't like that Aiden doesn't do the same. She does not like that Aiden actually doesn't feel ready, and clearly he's hurt more than what she expected him to be. Now, if I go on Aiden's side and look from his perspective, Bess, I know this is a one episode, right? But there is past. There are experiences. There are sacrifices and boundaries. We can very easily say that Aiden is going through this a little bit differently than just Carrie not letting me in. You see, Aiden, since the beginning of this new relationship, had to deal with overcoming betrayal, trusting Carrie just on the basis that she says that he should trust her, accept big back. And those are huge things that can impact your relationship, your self-worth, your confidence in this situation. So on some level, Aiden might very well feel like he's doing all of these changes, and then to add on that, he moved into Carrie's apartment, he's buying this apartment, blah, blah, blah. It's almost like he's integrating in Carrie's life. It could very much feel like Biss, she does not even want to get rid of her clothes. Like, how far do I need to go? Like, does she even acknowledge everything that I do? Now, of course, is it fair that Aiden would constantly feel like that around Carrie? So Carrie owes him forever because of the decisions he made when she asked him to accept big and so on. There's also a question around that. And I think, I don't know, it's kind of subjective in a way. Like, you could say, yes, of course, she should acknowledge that. But on the other hand, it's also like unfair. If you decided to, then you need to let go and continue in that way. But I could still see how Aiden might be looking at the situation as, I gave up so many things for you, and my things are, the sense of self-worth and even pride, right? For us to be together while you are making all this fuss about clothes. Now, Aiden does not comprehend that clothes and material things and the apartment or space in the apartment for Carrie is her identity, right? She's attaching that to her sense of self. So in a way, it's like Aiden could be even pissed on some level that he did give away a sense of himself, a sense of his self-worth to be with them, but Carrie can't do that. The question, though, becomes, should Carrie do that? And was Aiden even right to do that? Now, clearly, also, Aiden is not handling this situation the best, because instead of being like that being all upset and not even looking at her and so on, he could take the opportunity and actually address these things and actually talk about how it makes him feel when she doesn't give him space in this apartment. And she could share how it made her feel that he didn't even acknowledge talking to her about him moving in his stuff, right? So, unfortunately, they're both just in their own corners, both of them preserving their own pride. But Carrie is at a little get-together at Charlotte's place. She organized a girls' night, and unfortunately, Trey comes to interrupt. And what Carrie witnesses is another, in a way, silly argument between Charlotte and Trey, but also recognizes that, we may yell at each other, but that won't help the fact that there is big issues underlying.
You are the man who gave me a cardboard baby.
It was funny!
No, it wasn't.
Good night.
So she goes home and we see, it seems that it's almost like in the middle of the night or maybe while they're falling asleep. Carrie climbs on Aiden's back and she says, "I'm sorry."
I'm sorry.
Sorry, too.
Now, I'm going to add here, in my personal opinion, this confirms the theory that Carrie is avoiding the real problems, because I see, or I could say, that her seeing Trey and Charlotte arguing, on one hand, it could be like, well, okay, they have real issues because they were arguing about babies, and we'll get to that when we get to that in Charlotte's analysis. So it's almost like, oh, our issues are not that big, but also she could be like, you know what? Our things are silly, and I'm going to say sorry because we are better than Charlotte and Trey. We don't have those big issues, which again, she's ignoring that they do actually have. And she's just going to, she's going to be the one to say sorry. First of all, it is very, very welcome to apologize to one another. And pride should not get in the way. And again, it should not get in the way if you have fear of being the guilty one. You should be confident in apologizing, and you should be confident in knowing why you're apologizing, and you should be confident in also recognizing when your partner, let's say, fell short, right? That's all good. But how things kind of seem between Aiden and Carrie, it's the typical, I'm sorry, we, pushed it too far, and that's it. No conversation, no actual acknowledgement of what is potentially lying underneath, just silly things. And who knows, maybe they are just silly things. Sometimes it does happen that you just kind of went off the rail and there is no real need for deeper talk, right? But again, if it's a pattern, if there are some things that kind of hint at you, right, some underlying issues, I think it's kind of a missed opportunity to get to know each other better. Even if it was silly, even if you say sorry, at least I don't know. I think it's more beneficial if you still address it. It could be just simple agreement on, when it comes to this point, like, what does it actually help you? Does it help you to distance yourself? Does it help you to take your time for yourself? And also, what does this mean for you? Because sometimes when a person needs room, the other person might sense that as a rejection, right? And it makes them even more anxious and even less capable of cooling down. So even if it's silly things, it's still a good opportunity to talk about it and kind of understand the dynamics and give each other reassurance that doesn't, if I do something in that moment, let's not spiral even more, or let's not make the other person spiral even more. It's another day, and Carrie comes home, and she is again faced with pushing the door from the boxes. Aiden, I guess, is still not moving it away. And by the clock.
Hey, what's up? Where you been? Who'd you see?
But this time, Carrie enters her apartment. She doesn't say a word. She goes to her part of the room, or her bed, and I guess they put like a curtain in between. And then she tells Aiden that for the next hour, she needs some time for herself.
I need you to not talk to me for 1 whole hour.
She does acknowledge that it might sound pretty selfish, and she never lived with anyone before, so she does not really know how to say this correctly, but this is what she needs. And honestly, she did it very well. She closed the curtains, she sits on her bed, takes a deep breath, and somehow Somehow she feels good now. She peeks through the curtains and she's like,
So what are you doing out here?
and she reflects. You know, sometimes when your needs are met, you might not need them anymore. And also that hints at the fact that what Carrie needed is acknowledgement. What Carrie needed was respect to her own space and to her own time. The need for the time alone could be almost a surface level need, and it disappeared when her actual need, the deep issue, was resolved, not being considered. It's been 30 days and Aiden and Carrie are still alive. They survived, but there is one thing that didn't. The plant. It died exactly how Carrie predicted. She drops it in the trash and she walks out of her building in her Roberto Cavalli 1997 shirt. And this is the moment when I was like, what does this effing mean? So let's recap, right? Aiden brought the plant into this apartment, right? Almost as a symbol of him getting in, right? Him coming into Carrie's life. There was a part where she decided to get rid of her shirt to make space for Aiden, but clearly she did not because she is wearing it. Now, could it be that she got rid of other stuff? Okay. Could it be that this is her last time wearing it? It could be. We don't know. But if we take it at face value, to me personally, this hints at the fact that, well, they survived because nothing really changed when it comes to compromises or when it comes to the two of them coming together. Because the thing that Aiden brought, his plant, died, almost like his part of this his part in this life together is dismissed in a way, while her is preserved. And that is the only way that this will work. Does this just mean that things will always work out between the two of them as long as Aiden does not really interfere with Carrie's life and what Carrie wants and what Carrie needs? The plant could very well represent that in case Carrie does not acknowledge a part of Aiden in her life or something his, it's not going to survive. It's not going to thrive. It can also show that the plan by default was Aiden's responsibility. So is it hinting at the fact how Aiden is very quick to dismiss his own needs and his own responsibilities for himself, while Carrie is good at preserving hers? She still kept that shirt. And if we go even a little bit more in symbolism, it could also represent how at the end of the day, Carrie's world is still dominant in this relationship. Because even something as a plant, like Aiden's responsibility, like I said, without Carrie's buy-in, it's gonna get destroyed. It's gonna get exactly what she suspected it to be, while her things are preserved. Let me know in the comments below how you felt about this, especially the ending, what it told you. And, as always, trust your individuality.